In the previous episode of the Strandberg experiment, I spent 15 minutes raving about the comfort and ergonomics of my 2019 Strandberg Fusion 6 neck drill. In fact, I've been enjoying this guitar so much that I impulse bought this Strandberg NX7 True Temperament. And I'm disappointed. So in episode 3 of the Strandberg experiment, I'm going to give you my initial impressions of this guitar. Now, although I kind of regret my purchase, this guitar is going to give us the ability to discuss a few things that I couldn't discuss in prior episodes. Number 1, I bought my 2019 Fusion used in 2022, but this 7-string guitar is new. Well, technically it's a used mint condition factory refurb, but it's directly from Strandberg, and they said this in the listing. Not to mention, it's still well over $3,000, so that's basically new. It's the most new I can afford. Number 2, this is from the Boden NX line. So we're going to compare the new NX features to the older features on prior Strandberg guitars. Number 3, this is obviously a 7-string, so we're going to be able to compare a 7-string indoor neck to a 6-string. And of course, this guitar does have the True Temperament frets. But that's a very long topic, so I have to cover it in a separate video. I'll link it right over here. And I know this has the Fishman Fluence modern pickups, but come on, do we really need another YouTube video on Fishman Fluence modern pickups? They're amazing. Done. But if you really want me to do a deep dive on the pickups, leave a comment below and I'll get to that as well. Now, in a prior episode of the Strandberg experiment, I mentioned being dissatisfied with the Strandberg locking mechanism for these reasons. You're going to have these little sharp pieces of string that are poking out right here. And that's because you can't clip them close enough to stop that from happening. The other issue with this type of mechanism here is that this corner is very sharp. It's a perfect right angle and it's not fun to bump into when you're moving your hand this way. And I see that the newer hardware is updated to fix those issues, and hopefully we can try that in the future. And now we have the NX model, and I can tell you that I'm actually more dissatisfied. So here's the thing. Yes, you do get less string poke with this new shape, but as you can see, it doesn't totally fix the issue. And even worse, this sharp right angle thing wasn't redesigned whatsoever. They did turn the individual string locks into one piece, which may make it more reliable or easier to manufacture, but I don't really see this as a benefit for the consumer. And if you watch my original episode, I said, although it has flaws, the overall design isn't a deal breaker for me, and it still isn't. But my extra frustration comes from the fact that they did attempt to fix some of these issues, but they didn't even attempt to fix the biggest issue in my opinion, which is that whole right angle corner thing. And I know I'm not a manufacturer, I'm not a builder, but at the same time, turning these sharp corners into rounded edges, it can't be that big of an issue. It can't be that hard to do, especially on a guitar that comes for $3,800 with tax new. As we continue down the neck, we now have a Richlight fretboard, and I'm someone who actually loves Richlight, so I'm happy there. And we have a roasted maple neck with reinforcements again. And so far, the neck stability on this guitar and my other Strandberg has been phenomenal. In fact, this came from California to New Jersey in the winter, and it's totally in tune when it got to my house. It's been in tune the whole time. It's great there. Now, my 2019 Strandberg had significant fret sprout, but I didn't make a big deal about it because it was a used guitar. There is an issue with fret sprout on this guitar. On this new guitar, the frets are leveled great, they're polished beautifully, and most of the frets are really good. But as you move up the fretboard, especially above the 12th fret, things get increasingly more rough. And again, it's not a bad fret job. These are not bad, sharp frets, but it is a lot rougher up here than it is down here. You do also have a few of those issues on the bass side, and the exact same issue that I mentioned on my 2019 guitar. Interestingly enough, the only time the fret sprout has been an issue is when I'm playing fingerstyle stuff, and it's an issue for my right thumb. And that's because when I'm playing fingerstyle, I'll put my thumb right here at the base of the neck, and sometimes when I'm plucking that low E string, my thumb will actually catch the fret sprout on the 24th and 23rd fret. yeah, I get that exact same issue on this guitar. When I experience slight issues like that on this guitar, and then I think about my 2019 model and see how much more significant those issues are, you know, it makes me a bit concerned. But I've never seen any YouTuber mention any fret sprout on these guitars whatsoever, and I've never seen anyone mention a different issue that I'm going to talk about later. Which is strange because even a commenter on this video had a similar experience on his new Strandberg guitar. So I'm pretty sure other people have experienced this as well. And I know Strandberg is a great company. In fact, I like them so much, I'm doing an entire series on their instruments that I'm paying for with my own money. But we have to remember that as a community, if we're not honest with companies, if we don't tell them when we find these issues, they have no way to improve them in the future. And if no one's telling Strandberg about these things, how are they going to get better over time? And this will be a good time to say that you should like this video and help this video reach more people so that I can continue to keep things honest on this channel. Okay, so looking on this channel, you already know that I am not a huge 7-string player, but I have spent time experimenting with 7 strings and even 8 strings over the years. And I'm kind of always teetering on the fence of trying to go 7-string full time. Anyway, I usually don't prefer really wide 7-string necks, which is unfortunate because that's pretty much the most common type of 7-string there is. Ideally, I'd like to have a 7-string neck that feels very similar to a modern C shape that we find on so many 6-string necks. And thus far, my favorite 7-string neck has been the Ibanez AZ7. Up until now, that experience has been the best. That has been the most similar to a 6-string guitar in terms of the shape and all of that stuff for me personally. And I'll need more time before I can make a decision about this 7-string neck and whether or not I love it. But I will say it feels totally different from the 6-string Endure neck. It feels a lot wider, and it also feels a lot flatter on the back. The angles that make the Endure neck famous, those famous Endure neck angles, well, they're a bit more round and a lot more obtuse. In the follow-up video, I'll give you a full detailed impression of it, but so far, it's definitely very different from the 6-string. And if you like a flat style 7-string neck, I think you'll really enjoy it. A few people have said that it's too thick. I definitely don't feel that way at all, but again, that's just me. As we continue down even further, we get to another new NX redesign, and that is this heel joint. And I think that this is actually the biggest improvement overall. It does allow for extreme comfort at these upper frets, and this is definitely a big design plus for the newer Strandberg guitars. I really like the heel joint here. Now, when we look at the body, it pretty much looks like every other Strandberg guitar. In this case, we have a lovely flame maple top and a really beautiful blue color. But I actually am having a pretty significant issue with this whole design, including the body. So the body is chambered, which I usually like, but in this case, I think the body actually needs to have more weight because it does not balance like the 6-string Strandberg that I have come to absolutely love. As you may know, I like to hold it on my right leg just like this. And when I'm holding this 6-string here like this, I don't have to worry. It just kind of balances well. Rest on your right leg, and then your right arm naturally nuzzles the forearm contour, allowing you to adjust the neck above 45 degrees or below 45 degrees with no additional strain from your body or from your left hand. In fact, you don't even need a strap to hold it in this position. But with this model, I'm noticing that it quickly falls very, very quickly. And I wouldn't call this traditional neck dive, but the neck is definitely heavier because it's a 7-string. And with this light body, it's just not balancing like my 6-string Strandberg guitar. And even if I use a strap and put this on, and yes, I also tried this with the expensive Strandberg strap. I'm just not using it right now, but the same thing pretty much happens. Even when I'm using a strap, that helps it a bit, for sure. But if I don't hold it with my right arm, it starts to just kind of fall this way because of the weight of the neck. The only way I found to rectify this issue is to have my right arm hugging the guitar more tightly than I would need to on the 6-string. And if I do this, I can get it to stay in this nice position. The issue is that after playing like this for a while, the extra tension starts to wear down this side of my body. And I noticed that after about 10 minutes that I had to kind of, readjust and get comfortable again. To me, that is a deal breaker. And that's because I bought a Strandberg guitar specifically for the ergonomics. So if I'm finding it difficult to sit in a position that is ergonomic and comfortable for me, I feel like I might as well be playing a regular non-ergonomic guitar. And it's not as big of an issue standing, but I did notice it even when I'm standing and playing the guitar. And again, it's not this extreme neck dive, but it just feels less ergonomic overall than the 6-string model. That being said, the rest of the design is great. Everyone loves Fishman Fluent's modern pickups, they're great. The new knobs are a nice touch, and this redesigned bridge is also really nice. It's a little simpler to use than the older bridges. And honestly, apart from the new heel joint, my next favorite feature is actually this new tool that they have. Because with this tool, you can adjust everything on the Strandberg, from the locking nuts to the intonation, and you can even use it to fine tune the guitar. Now, when you're just using the guitar in everyday situations, you're just tuning it occasionally while you're playing, that's no issue whatsoever. It works fantastic. But when I was setting the intonation of this guitar, and we all know setting intonation on any guitar is a huge pain in the ass because you have to tune it, you have to check, you have to detune it, adjust, retune it. You do that all day long trying to get things perfect, right? Well, when I was doing that on this guitar, I realized that my hand was getting sore because, again, these are made out of metal and there's knurling on it, and it's not a regular tuner. Fine. Well, about 3/4 of the way through my intonating process, I realized I could just take that cool Strandberg tool, place it inside, and use it to twist the tuner. And if I realized that sooner, I would have been a lot happier and the process would have been a lot faster and smoother. And this tool also comes with this little thing right here, right? It's a little magnet thing. And you can take this and stick it somewhere on the guitar. And then you can have your tool with you at all times. So I think that's really cool and really handy. Big fan of this thing. So I love that new tool. I love the new heel joint. The Fishman Fluent's modern pickups sound great as always, but I would have liked a bit more refinement on this. I would like a bit more weight in the body so that it doesn't tip forward. And then I think we'd have a near perfect 7-string guitar. I also would like there to be no fret issues whatsoever anywhere. Now, of course, the big elephant in the room is the true Temperament fret system. And like I said, this is going to take a very detailed review to discuss and to test and to share with you. Here's a sample. But we'll go into more detail on the next episode on the Strandberg experiment.